Let's get it on. Forget the loss, the money. We're in this together and through it all. They said that nothing's forever, and they refuse to see the change in me. Why won't they wake up?
What up? It's your boy T-Bone Reaction. This is wrestling, NBA wrestling, and music day. We're gonna get into some wrestling. We got first looking at the bad of the NBA. Was when we look at the possible worst historical worst draft class of all class, which is the 2000 class. Now we look at down pairs of tag teams with that you forgot was heartbreaking, and this is 10 WWE Breakups. You forgot was heartbreaking as well too, because you think about that's heartbreaking about anything with a tag team is the breakups, whether they turn heel or not. You know, we had a tease of a couple breakups, ended up being both members turn heel, which was the New Day and DIY as well too. But breakups is always hard though. One of them being the Rockers breakup, the Shield breaking up, and many others. So without further ado, let's check out 10 WWE breakups you forgot were heartbreaking. Let's get it.
Man, does wrestling love breaking up tag team, especially WWE. At
got
the
that
moment,
right.
I think no less than 10 duos are having issues. 10! It is a worthwhile technique, as when we don't overdo it and let things play out, it really gets you. Dare I say it hits you right in the tum-tum. How are we meant to move forward as human beings? So let us get upset by revisiting some of these breakups, which are truly devastating. I am Simon Miller, and get those tissues. Shouldn't have said that. That sounded terrible.
The Iconics. Yeah.
Some teams should be together forever. The Iconics were one of these. It was ridiculous.
I so wanted them to have a babyface to run, and they had a little mascot or dolls of the Charmander with the icon shirt, because that was like the meme for a minute, because they did the pose and Charmander did his pose with the icon shirt. That was so fun. But they not only they look like it was on version of being a face first, but they eventually would have them break up, forced to break them up, which sucks.
WWE let them go to begin with, but on the 31st of August 2020 Raw, some doofus had the idea we should split up Billy Kay and Peyton Royce, even though there was no need. They were so damn entertaining. It meant one went to Raw and the other to SmackDown around about a month later. And don't pretend WWE didn't know. They filmed the backstage realization, and yeah, both guys were really sad. It was going to be the first time they'd been separated since signing, and at one point they even said they were going to miss each other. Cue the tears. If this had served them both, I wouldn't have minded, but it didn't. There was no proper plan, and not long after that, they got released. Wonders never cease. Number 9, Kevin Owens attacks Chris Jericho. This was like Christmas in reverse.
A lot of people thought it was going to happen in New Day. They had the 10 version and they were going to break up each other, but they ended up turning on E, which sucks.
Know what's coming, and you're excited. Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens, it was doomed from the start.
And this is why Kevin Owens is not the right person to say he's right. Because you know why? Because Kevin Owens turned on everybody, so he had no room to talk, trying to claim that Cody turned on by teaming with Roman, where all Cody's doing was the right thing, and had a comment in with Roman. So yeah.
I mean, for one, KO loves turning on people, but together these two were just a hoot. It was also the time of Jericho's list, which I often think could be Chris's best run. That's up for debate, but it was wonderful. It all built to the 13th of February 2016 Raw, which was nice in a sad way, because it was essentially Valentine's Day. For that and many other reasons, Jericho decided to celebrate his relationship with Kevin and hosted the Festival of Friendship. It had badness written all over it. Of course, Owens gifted Jericho a new list during this segment, and when Christopher read it, his name was right at the top. Kevin attacked. Our favorite duo was done. We were so patient with this, though, and both guys treated it with so much reverence. The fact KO threw that away because he had hate in his belly was really good. Jericho has always said the plan was for them to feud over the Universal title, and in hindsight, it's a shame they didn't. That really would have given it an extra edge, not Adam Copeland. But Vince McMahon didn't get the importance at WrestleMania, but hey, everything else was heartbreaking. But because it was so good. Number 8, Daniel Bryan blamed AJ Lee.
Yo,
When we cast
I
our
remember
minds
that.
back to the relationship between Daniel Bryan and AJ Lee,
I remember
it
he
often goes
kept stalking her after all that, just taunting her. It was good. Even the live show I went to one time years ago too. It was crazy.
straight to WrestleMania 38. They made out, and then Sheamus
House show.
booted Bryan.
Yup.
He was the rest 18 seconds. Outside of that, WWE was ticking the usual boxes between these two, which was all good. We took our time, and they played their roles really well. It was a strange pairing in 2012, but WWE was nuts back then. Kind of just did whatever you wanted. It actually happened right after the Mania destruction because we used that for Daniel to tell Lee this was your fault. Because they were smooching, he took his eyes off the prize, so he tore her apart on SmackDown and then dumped her. It was really mean. AJ sold this so well and it had long-term payoff. Somehow they did make amends when Lee stored that away and left Daniel at the altar during their wedding. Wrestling. The extra part was all this turned AJ Lee into the psychopath character, and she was great at that. Just go and look at her facial expressions. That's how you do it. Bryan is spot on too, so this is taking weird creative and making it work. That's why they're among the best. Number 7, Dusty Rhodes loses his sweet sapphire.
Yeah.
Talk about performers making lemonade
messed
out of lemons. Dusty Rhodes was one of a
was so
kind.
messed up.
I mean, few people could do WCW commentary for so many years, make no sense, and yet be brilliant at the time. Which is what Dusty Rhodes went and did again at SummerSlam 1990. Now we all know about the inside joke that WWF probably had on the American Dream, but on this night, Rhodes was super upset because his sweet sapphire had gone missing. This was doubly worrying as she was meant to have a match with sensational Sherry later. Dusty decided Jim Duggan could help, and you should watch that. It's totally unhinged. They couldn't find Sapphire though, and she didn't make the match either. Soon afterwards, we found out the reasons. She had turned her back and accepted Ted DiBiase's money because everybody has a price. The Dream was so broken he couldn't get his head in the game for a fight with the Macho Man. This was top work from Dusty. He sold this like it was the end. It meant the $1 Million Man was extra hated because look what you did, dude. And his Sapphire hadn't left the company soon after. Who knows how despised she could have been as well. This one was for you, Rhodes, though. Because he knew exactly what he was doing. That's why the man is a legend. Number 6, Matt Hardy turns on Jeff. This was another one that WWE was always going to do. I mean, a brother tag team? Vince McMahon couldn't help himself. The 2009 feud is often described as a little bit disappointing by the time we got to the match at WrestleMania 25, but do not forget the turn at the Royal Rumble. That sent people nuts. Now, it did go off the rails because Matt soon was saying he burned down Jeff's house and tried to kill his dog. He was taking it too far. But the initial moment got a proper reaction because fans couldn't believe it. We had thought they were a team for life. No. The older brother also screwed the little brother out of the WWE title when he whacked him with a chair, and Jeff sold this just great. Downtrodden, shocked, sad, done. What the flub had happened? So focus on the Rumble when we do talk about this because, yeah, attempted murder and actual pet killing wasn't needed. You know the deal, though. We do like to get stupid. Number 5, Otis and Mandy separate. All of this was sad on one level as the Otis and Mandy storyline happened mostly throughout the pandemic. That was never going to work. It was how invested fans were that made this so much fun. Then you have the fact these two were split up because of the draft. Ugh. I mean, that thing was never treated seriously anyway, but to take something we like for such a lame reason made you hate it even more. The story for Otis as well was he was so despondent he eventually lost his money in the bank briefcase too, so yeah, screw this. It was like anti-entertainment. I felt so sorry for the big guy. But I basically wanted to give him a hug. Miz was an extra reason as he was meddling in the madness and ultimately got what he wanted. But it did beg the question, how was he calling the shots throughout all of this? Who gave him that power? It also ignored the narrative that Otis had won Mandy over despite her apparently being out of his league. And then we just said, well, don't worry about that because admin has gotten in the way. Talk about not even bothering, but I maybe say this because it does make me bleed out of my sad parts. I definitely shouldn't have said that. Number 4, Big E watches his friends go. So it is back to the draft after this.
The first somewhat of a breakup between Big E and New Day, though.
I do have to say, it's such an awful crutch. Don't do it. On the 9th of October, 2020 SmackDown, though, the New Day defeated Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura in a fun old match. When Stephanie McMahon dropped the bomb, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods were headed to Raw. Big E was not so. From an on-screen perspective, the New Day were done. Why would you do this to me? It wasn't an official split as they all still supported each other, but that just made it even more eye-wrenching. Well, we could see right through this. It was something to do to make the draft seem like it meant something, but I'd rather have the New Day as a trio. Now, the plus side is it did allow Big E to become the WWE champion, and that was one of the best moments of my life. Maybe there was a better way to tell the tale. To be fair, Big E did sell it wonderfully because he was basically depressed. As we are talking about him, I hope he's doing okay. Would be the best if he could ever return. But health and happiness first
Hopefully
and foremost.
Hopefully he's these two at what they did in the
nice life.
Raw.
Number 3, Bray Wyatt sets Luke Harper free. This one hits harder today for obvious reasons. When names do come up, it's still so hard to believe what happened. Life can be cruel. Eric Rowan was involved in this too back in 2014, mostly as WWE decided to move Bray Wyatt on from his family. At least we gave him some good time to talk. Because Wyatt mentioned how proud he was of these guys and that he knows they're going to go out there and succeed. I mean, you can try and watch this today if you want, but it will ruin you. These folk were meant to be heels, but flubbed that because this had all the emotion. If WWE had played it right, it could have been so good. Bray should have become the world champion and Harper and Rowan could dominate as a tag team. While that kind of happened, we didn't go all the way. It was trying times. This was summed up as 12 months later they were back together again as Braun Strowman entered the fold. While this was good, it did just harm the audience a little bit. Was another reason not to believe in words or stipulations. Still, who cares about any of that today as there's way bigger things at play? That's why it's nice this did happen. You can see the very real connection they did have. Prepare for water to come from your seeing devices. Number 2, APA calls for business. So who knew this one would get you? Again, it all comes down to performances. It also ties into the draft once more, which shows you how much WWE do.
Oh yeah, the first draft, the first time they broke up due to the draft, not because Heyman fired Farouk.
This, but at least it was back at the first one in 2002. That meant it had novelty. It was the 28th of March SmackDown as William Regal let the APA know in no uncertain times they had been split up. No longer could they be the guns for hire. Bradshaw and Farouk did have one last brawl in their makeshift office, and it all led to them putting a sign on their ridiculous door that read, "Sorry, we're closed." So there it was, with no context. It was ridiculous, but with it, that is some good old Fabu storytelling. It certainly sounds like Bradshaw's voice cracks when he thanks Farouk for everything too. No one expected that. You know the deal. They got you right in the tum-tum. Number 1, Ryback get emotional. I mean, how the hell did this happen? Ryback and Curtis Axel were the most thrown together tag team ever because WWE loved doing this in 2014. We've got 2 guys, they're not doing much. Bingo. It was ridiculous. When we got to the 18th of August Raw, however, they did work their final match. And why? Because they had singles success aspirations, so there was now no choice. This meant it did have a sense of reality to it, but also the chat they had backstage. Again, how on earth did they greenlight this? Because rather than get mad or angry, they just respected the hell out of each other because they were friends. I think they meant it too. Go and watch it. They're just speaking. I get why it's not often discussed because it didn't work and both Ryback and Axel's career went in the wrong direction. But every promotion could learn from this. It's better than doing a random argument because you're done as a pairing, especially as I'm talking to you. Kind of mentioned this at the start. Across WWE and AEW, about 22 teams are on the rocks. Just makes you very, 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 very sad. Now, of course, there's going to be a bunch more tag teams that broke up that did leave you an absolute mess, so drop them in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. You can also click the video on the screen to get another rundown about wrestling from me.
Cool, though. This is a good video right here, though. Majority of these I do remember as well, so yeah, other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.